Hey everybody, it's a great one today. I got Johnathan Schofield, aka Skofi from findmyitpartner.com. I've known Johnathan for a couple of years, and he's a self-described masochist because he wants to solve the biggest and hardest problem that he can find in the channel, which is helping MSPs get new customers, not just get marketing activities, not just make phone calls, get new customers. And what's so interesting about today is that we've been doing a lot of these interviews lately with different people, different walks of life. We're all helping MSPs grow. And there's so many common threads in the way that they perceive the challenge and the way that they respond to the challenge of getting new clients. I want to see what your thoughts are on the similarities that Johnathan has in the way he goes about doing it to a lot of the other amazing interviews we've had in recent episodes. So I'll pass the mic over to me and Johnathan here in a minute. Let's get into it.
One morning, two men, one podcast no one asked for.
Okay. Hey, maybe we'll keep that in so everybody knows that we have fun senses of humor. Johnathan Schofield.
That's right.
From findmyitpartner.com. How you doing, man?
We're still kicking, brother. Doing well.
I'm glad that you're here. It's actually, isn't it sort of bizarre that we haven't done this interview yet?
It is. It is bizarre. We've known each other a couple of years now, so we've been due.
Yeah, it's nothing personal. I wasn't like, oh, let me get all the people I like, and then John.
No,
it wasn't anything like that. It's just how it happened. But I am excited to talk to you because you described yourself on a meeting with me and some other guys we know the other day as a masochist.
Yeah, a little bit.
What do you tell the people why because it's relevant, I think. Why do you call yourself a masochist?
Well, I'm either a masochist, an idealist, or an idiot. And I'll tell you why. So in my time in the IT services space, working with vendors, working with MSPs, I've identified what I believe to be one of the toughest challenges that is facing the majority of IT service providers in the world, and it's finding your next customer. And I'm a little burned out, to be honest, Brian, seeing folks in the industry go down, different paths to try and address this problem and spend precious marketing dollars on this shiny object or that empty promise, only for it to return, in most cases, little to nothing. And I think there's a lot of reasons why, and I'm sure we'll jump into some of those. But the reason I'm a masochist, an idiot, or an idealist is because I think I've identified the primary reasons it's so hard for a lot of IT providers to meet new clients, to win new business. And rather than become like an outsourced agency, there's a lot of folks that wear that hat already in our space, and some are better than others. I didn't have an interest in solving that problem because I don't know that it is as much of a problem as some people might think. So I want to go find clients. I want to see if I can do it. And so I feel like Thanos sometimes. Fine, I'll just do it myself, putting on the gauntlet, so to speak, with the Infinity Stones. Right. I don't know if that's ego or idealism or idiocy, whichever one it is, it's what's driving us, because I am not convinced that MSPs cannot find new business. I am not convinced that the right systems don't exist to help them do it. And so I'm trying to build a model that will A, supplement IT providers' own initiatives, and also B, a model that they can take, copy, and paste and follow on their own.
Yeah, right. So instead of another vendor who is promising a lot of the things, first of all, there's lots of vendors who say, I'm going to get you 1 billion leads in 5 seconds. Just write this check. Hurry. Right now. Don't read the papers. That we have enough of those. And, they get 1 out of 10 of their clients are successful, which means they can keep selling that promise.
That's right.
And then there's a lot of people like me who are like, I can develop your system alongside you, but I am not going to run that race for you.
That's right.
And then there's you. I think you're sort of, in some ways, you're in a league of your own because, I mean, there's other people doing lead gen as a service.
That's right.
So it's not a brand new vector, but your approach to it is like, no, I'm going to go get MSP leads. And then I'm going to look at my MSPs and say, who wants it?
So very close. I've come to find, personally, I view the word lead as becoming a dirty word in our space, right? Because at the end of the day, if you're a business owner, specifically an IT services business owner, right? Do you, at your core, and please be honest and transparent when you answer this, do you really care about how many impressions your last LinkedIn post got, how many clicks on your most recent digital ad you got, how many downloads of your white paper, or even appointments on your calendar or email addresses in your CRM? Do you ultimately care about those things? Or do you truly, really, at your core, care about new customers and revenue, right? So I feel like there's a major disconnect between a lot of, and I know we're painting with broad strokes here, but there's a lot of lead generators that will slap into a dashboard, look how many people saw your brand this week, so we've justified what we charged you. And the MSP is like, yeah, but my bank account is emptier for it because I gave you money and nobody gave me money. So why do I not agree with you that this is working? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, right. So rather than you saying, hey, I've got you some quote unquote leads, because everybody has different definitions of leads, you're basically saying, here's a qualified meeting handed to you. And every MSP says to me, every single one of them says, closing's not my problem. Once I get in the room, I've got it 80%, 100%. I just need to get more leads. They say that every single time. And so you're calling their bluff, being like, okay, here's a meeting.
I really am. And so even more than a meeting, I call them sales opportunities. I'll give you an example. So earlier this year, we had a conversation with the CEO of an engineering firm, and he sits down with me, and I do pretty detailed discovery with him, figure out how many locations, how many employees, and the most important thing, right? Why did you say yes to this meeting, Mike? Is his name. And he was like, well, we're working with this compliance agency. We don't have on-site IT support. We don't have an MSP or anything like that. I'm getting these punch lists of items from this compliance agency, and I'm the CEO, and I have to personally deal with all this. I need somebody more local to me. Also, these guys are a pain in the ass to work with. So someone who can help us with compliance, but not only that, take over all this stuff that I'm personally overseeing so that I can focus on moving into our new 40,000 square foot facility and running the business. And that's the level of conversation I'm having with these prospects. And before I would ever introduce them to one of my partners, we're establishing budget. Like, this guy disclosed to me, because they're in a regulated industry, that like he was prepared to pay from $500 to $1,000 per user. And I knew this before I even made the introduction. And that's the level of detail we're going into. So when I go through our first right of refusal system to make a match with the right provider, I'm calling up the MSP owner or whoever's in the sales position over there and saying, hey, you get first right of refusal. Here's the details. And the only reason I'm bringing it to you is because I think you can close this. But if I give it to you, you better be able to. And so then they choose to accept it with their dollars. So it's not just like, oh yeah, slap that appointment on my calendar, let's hope for the best. They have to think long and hard, like, okay, am I really going to pull out my pocketbook? Because I know that if Johnathan brings these guys to me, this is a great customer. I'm gonna close that. Or, I'm a little uncomfortable with CMMC, so I maybe that should go to somebody else. Whereas in another scenario, if a cold caller that was outsourced for you booked that meeting, they would have called it a qualified lead for that MSP, and that MSP would have taken that meeting, and ultimately there was a bad match, and the MSP would have fumbled the deal talking about IT rather than the compliance pain that was really there. So when we call it cyber matchmaking, we really do view it that way. So it's not lead generation per se, though it feels like it because, man, I haven't talked to a new client, a new prospective client in 3 months. And Johnathan brought me one with his checkbook open. But to your point, I'm calling her bluff. If I'm bringing it to you, it's because I believe you can close it.
Right. I wonder if there's any merit to having this conversation. Because we were just talking the other day. Somebody was asking me, "Hey, what is the difference? What is our definition of a lead?" And then we also use our nomenclature as lead, prospect, customer. Those are different dispositions in my CRM. So they were like, "Well, what's the difference?" So I have my answers to that, which is helps my system and the way that I particularly run. But there are a lot of different definitions of a lead.
That's right.
And I think we should talk about this. I want to know, again, this is such a blanket statement to ask for, but is there a definition? What's the definition of a lead? The right definition of a lead?
Well, what it's not is a row in a spreadsheet. Okay. If you go to like a ZoomInfo or Apollo or a Seamless or something like that, and you pull down a data record, they'll often refer to their data that they provide to you that you paid for as a lead. And I'm not satisfied with that. What I've done historically, because you're right, a lot of people have different definitions. Let's start with customer. Okay. And walk backwards through the experience of them going from nothing to customer and identify the definitive stages where there's been a major shift, okay, in the process. And that's the best way for you, I would suggest, to build out your nomenclature. Now, so the common ones are, customer, opportunity, and we're going backwards from customer, opportunity, meaning, and my definition of opportunity is that I've shown you a proposal. Like, you're going to buy from me. I gave you a quote. You haven't closed yet. I don't call it an opportunity until we're talking numbers. Before that, the industry might call it a sales qualified lead at that point, an SQL, meaning, and then you can think of that as, well, who owns this at this point? Well, sales owns it. And then there's the lesser cousin of SQL, marketing qualified lead, that we've all heard about. And there's a lot of ambiguity in how people define marketing qualified. For my part, I always go back to, well, who owns it right now? If it's not in the hands of a business development rep or an account executive or a closer, sales has not accepted it yet, it belongs to marketing effectively. So it's a marketing qualified lead, and qualified is where it gets really loosey-goosey. Well, how you define qualified might be different than how I define qualified. For me, a qualification means it meets the parameters of my ideal customer profile. If it's outside of those parameters, scrub it, get rid of it, stop wasting your time. And unfortunately, not everybody does that. And they just say, oh, it's like someone's talking to me. It's a qualified lead. Well, no, a lot of people will talk to you and waste your time. So then you go back from that, then I would say a lead is someone you have identified you're going to pursue. So lead, MQL, SQL, opportunity, customer. Lead is like, I'm going after you. And I've started to go after you. So someone in business development or marketing is like picking it up, and maybe we haven't begun yet, but we've built the data set. Your name is in my data set as a lead to pursue. Everything before that, I call a prospect. Now, some people flip-flop prospect and lead, how they choose to define it. But in my mind, like, a lead means like I'm pursuing a lead. Prospect means I think maybe there's something there, and you might just be a record in a database at that point, or something I saw on LinkedIn or a Google search or a billboard that I drove by. Oh yeah, that's maybe a prospect for me. That's how I've defined them. That's been helpful for me in the organizations I run. But there's room for doing it the way you will follow is the way you should, structure it, I guess.
See, I love what you're saying. I love what you're saying. You're right. Like, for example, I flip-flop. Prospect to me is synonymous with SQL, Because in the old days, because also MQL is a relatively new term. Like MQL and SQL didn't really exist. Like they didn't say that, I feel like, very often 10, 12 years ago. So for me, the way that we clean data is our new process is if this is an MSP in a geography that I will service, it does not get into my CRM.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people will just dump a bunch of shit in there and then sift through it later. And I have found that to be the most expensive way, time-wise, to do it, because outbound sales reps have, I'm going to say it, one of the hardest jobs in any company. Case in point, almost no one is willing to do it, and even fewer people are even any good at it. That's even right. Sometimes people are willing, but they don't have the chops. That's so right. They get BDRs, SDRs, they get degraded so often in the sales and marketing community, when in reality, being a marketing director is a freaking cinch, because you get to hide behind a bunch of iterations and split testing, aka I don't know what's good or bad, and the only way I'll know is with lag indicators. So I'm going to test every single thing I can, and if I get any results from any of my efforts, I get to say I'm good at marketing. So no offense to the marketers. I mean, but am I wrong?
Well, I'll go back to what I said earlier. What does a business owner ultimately care about, right? Do we care about numbers in your dashboard? Well, maybe, but only to the extent that it's translated to new customers and revenue. And this is a whole other tangent, but I think there's a level of accountability that often gets, ignored when it comes to the investments in marketing and other initiatives to supposedly support growth, and then they can't answer for themselves. And I know there's some nuance and complexity, but at the end of the day, man, if I'm an MSP business owner, and let's say I'm like 5 million in revenue, and this is the thing I've carved out of the ether with my own blood, sweat, and tears, I haven't taken any money from an investor. I built it through word of mouth and founder-led growth. And now I'm going to take that precious cash flow and I'm going to give it to somebody who says I do marketing. That only lasts so long, where they're willing to accept those kinds of, tepid answers from those marketing resources. It's like, well, what have you done for me lately? Like, well, a lot more people saw your LinkedIn post this week. Okay. Right. I can't buy groceries with that.
Right. You're obviously, I agree with you. And Taher and I sort of we have an artificial beef about this sales versus marketing dilemma. I think the entire conversation is so incredibly futile to say which one is more important. It's like saying, which would you rather live with, just lungs or just a heart?
Yes.
Obviously you have to have all of it. But and I will also say that marketers often get a bad rap because they're in many ways the first line of defense against the insecure and budget conscious MSP owner who's like, I have $5,000 a month to invest. I'm going to give it to a marketing agency, and in 3 months, if I don't have 100K in MRR, then I'm gonna blow them up on Tech Tribe and tell everybody that they're con artists. And so marketers do get a bad rap. Yeah. Also, Kevin Clune is called me out on this so many times when I always say I'm not a marketing guy. And he's like, yeah, you are.
That's right.
Because I am a marketing guy. And now most of my leads, well, that's not true. How many? Right now, I bet you my leads are 50-50 inbound, outbound. Mm-hmm. Last year, I think I averaged 6.5 or 7 meetings, sales assessments a month. I had over a 90% hold rate on if they book a meeting directly on the website. And that's because people come to me and they're like, I heard you on this podcast. I saw you on that thing. I read that thing you made. All of that is marketing.
That's right.
So yeah, I do marketing. And maybe that's also why I have so little tolerance for people who they're not really good at anything. So they just go into marketing because there's nobody stopping you from saying you're in digital marketing. That's and they're like, I'm just going to figure it out as I go. Like, no, man, marketing has tangible results. It does have a long tail though.
That's right.
On average, people have been following me for a year now, but they walk in the door with a check in their hand because I've been doing it for a year.
That's right.
So if you asked me 11 months ago, is this podcast working? I'd say, not yet. It just started.
That's right.
So there's my little disclaimer.
Well, I think it's a very valid disclaimer because the head and the heart, which one's more important? Well, it's all part of the whole growth engine, has to have all of the summary ingredients. And this is how I encourage my MSPs when they're evaluating marketing solutions or marketing tactics and strategies, because what you just described, it was like an 18-month exercise in earning what I call mental real estate with my future customer. Okay. Mm-hmm. And mental real estate means like, let's just take it from the vantage point of an MSP for a second, right? Your prospect IT provider, when their head pops off the pillow in the morning, they're not thinking about IT. Throughout their day, they're probably not thinking about IT. They will think about IT when they can't log into X, when they can't boot Y, when there's an outage at this site, when they have a customer they lost because of some technical issue. And it's usually in a negative connotation, by the way. So just be prepared for that you just got lumped into one of the most uncomfortable, painful parts of their world. And now they're thinking about IT. And then the human brain is like a computer in its capacity to build association. So the moment that inciting thing happens, there's a drop-down menu of associated concepts in the buyer's brain. And here's the tough news for you, IT provider. You're not on that list. The assumption is marketing gets me to number one on the list. Marketing, if marketing's effective, it's getting you anywhere on the list first. Because right now, your buyer has no idea who you are. So when I'm evaluating marketing solutions, tactics, strategies, whatever, I'm always screening it through, will it earn me mental real estate with my future customer? And in my personal experience, the best way to earn mental real estate is through what I call, that's not like original with me, but authentic, physical, human connection, which is why I get really leery of people investing tremendous marketing dollars in things that aren't really tangible. And I'm not saying don't run a digital ad, but if you do run a digital ad, how does it facilitate authentic, physical, human connection? If it looks like every other, corporate AI built techie nonsense that gets served to me all the time, and I'm not even your prospect, by the way, you're wasting a lot of money marketing to me, then it's not earning mental real estate with anyone. You're adding to the echo chamber, and that does nothing to advance it. But what you described, Brian, like you've been doing these podcasts. Well, what's more physical in a virtual place than seeing my face and hearing my voice? It's cost effective. Yeah. You pay for the infrastructure to be able to produce these episodes, but anyone can pick up an iPhone and put a video together, and it's your face, it's your voice, it's a physical, tangible, and then everything else is just consistent execution over time. And a lot of people overcomplicate marketing. Like, I have to have all of these things in place. It's like, well, you just got to start doing something that puts you in front of your customer. And that for me has been effective marketing, because I've been the outbound guy since I was 17 years old. And in the last 18 months, for the first time in my life, I'm getting inbound leads too. I still believe in outbound. I still fully believe in it. We do a ton of it, but it's not just one or the other.
Yeah. So I have a cold caller. He worked with me in my MSP. He absolutely demolished. I got to have him on this podcast because the guy is the most resilient human being I've ever met, period. Mm-hmm. And he made $100 a day for like 5 years for me. Mm-hmm. Now he makes $50 a day. And he doesn't blink. He's been cussed out once in 50 to 70,000 cold calls because it's not even because he's that good. It's because he's just not as bad as everybody else. But he is, we started for the first 3 months, I was throwing all this marketing support at him because we had never had, in my MSP, we didn't have any marketing help. We didn't have any brand presence. Our website was so bad, I told people it was under construction.
Right.
And I started being like, hey man, we're doing this lead magnet. So you can sell to fill this workshop. Now sell to fill this event instead of just selling for meetings. Cause like I'm trying to give him lower bars. That's right. And for the first 3 months, he did his job. He made dials. But all of a sudden we're like, man, we're not getting the results that we know this guy can get. And he says to me, Brian, I want you to give me 90 days and leave me alone and let me call for meetings. Let me just call people and ask them if they will book them, if they want to have a meeting about our core offer, and that's it. And I was like, you got it. And in 4 weeks, he booked 5 meetings. He had only booked 2 in the previous 3 months.
Wow.
The other day, he closed the deal from first dial to signed contract, paid invoice, 14 days. And the guy took a 5-day vacation in those 14 days. And Jacob's telling me almost all of his meetings are getting booked on call 1, which is like unheard of.
That's right.
And our script is the same script we've always used, and I can't beat it. And it's so frustrating because I want to have a shiny, sexy new script. It's so freaking simple. I'll tell you what it is right now for the listener. We call, we go, hey, feel good MSP. Either have you been or is this a bad time? Jacob loves is this a bad time? It's the classic.
That's right.
Like Chris Voss uses it. The Sandler system used it all through the 90s. Is this a bad time? Listen, I'll give you the 30-second version why I'm calling. If you're not into it, we can hang up. We're a sales training company. We help MSPs who, and then 3 pains. And then he just goes, any of that sound familiar? Mm-hmm. And they go, yeah, that does sound familiar. He goes, okay, well, tell me more.
Yeah.
And then he books a meeting.
That's right.
It's that effing simple. And I wish it was more complicated because I think you almost want it to be complicated. And this is something actually I want to talk to you about. I said it this way I did a presentation for Super Ops at one of their Super Summits the other day. MSPs all want sales to be complicated and easy. So they want to build big, complex lead gen structure, and then they easily get knocked down domino customers. The truth is, client acquisition is not complex and easy. It's simple and hard.
That's right.
It's simple and hard. It's just like exercise. Guys, marketing works. You can't say marketing. If marketing didn't work, nobody would do it.
That's right.
Marketing does work. It's just that your marketing doesn't work.
That's right.
So you need to turn around and go, why is it that other people's can get clients from marketing? I'm not getting clients from marketing. I need to accept that something I'm doing or not doing is the problem. Mm-hmm. It's not that marketing and awareness and demand gen isn't the thing. Sales, outbound sales works. Inbound sales works. All of that works. Yours doesn't work. So it's just like if you go to the gym and you are going to the gym, but you're not losing any weight or you're not gaining any strength. It's not that exercise doesn't work. It's that you're not exercising correctly. You're either doing the wrong things, or you're maybe doing you don't know what to do, or maybe you're doing things that are for a different body type. You're trying to do deadlifts when you have to first build some core up, so you're getting injured. Or realistically, you're just not doing it enough. You go to the gym for 8 minutes. The second you break a sweat, you go, okay, I did it. When Muhammad Ali said, I don't count my sit-ups until they hurt. He said, because those are the only ones that count.
Yeah. No, I love it.
So I want to hear what you think about that. Like the simple and hard version versus the building a big system and expecting it to then get easier. What do you think about that?
I had a gentleman reach out to me on LinkedIn. And this is a guy that I met through LinkedIn, where I've been having a lot of marketing success lately. And he starts telling me how he's considering winding down his cybersecurity practice because he can't get new customers. And we were chatting back and forth. And he said, well, unfortunately, I'm an introvert, and so it's hard for me. I said, welcome to the club, man. I'm an introvert. And so we talked about that. And he said, and he kind of provided why he felt this is a problem he wasn't going to be able to solve in his business, and it was going to be why he had to close his doors. And I came back and I said, well, I've got good news for you, man, and I've got bad news. I said, what you just described is like a lack of a skill set to go out and meet new people and close new business, right? But that's a skill set that absolutely can be learned. And anyone can learn it. There's no secret DNA sequence that this guy has over that guy that makes him like more like. I'm not saying there aren't personality traits that lend themselves to sales and there's others that don't. Yeah. I mean, I guess that's true, but
it might be easier for some other people than you, but it doesn't mean you can't do it.
But like any Olympic athlete, right? Whatever their genetics are, if they're not putting in the blood, sweat, and tears, will never place. You know what I'm saying? Like just because you have a natural inclination towards physical activity, if you don't put in the work. And I said, that's the bad news. So I said, it's simple. It's simple. Like it's not a complex thing to learn, but to your point, Brian, it's not necessarily easy. It's going to require effort, some disciplined effort faithfully executed over time before you'll see meaningful results. And this is what I call the difference between a dream and a goal. Okay. A lot of business owners I talk to dream about having customers, dream about having a growth engine in their MSP where they're consistently closing new business. And they dream about it. They fantasize about it, right? But apart from the actual execution and disciplined effort, it will never be more than a fantasy. But there's others I talk to. They're like, I don't know that I have this skill set yet. I don't know that I have this fully figured out, but I know where I want to go. And with the resources I have around me and the time I have available to me, I'm going to do something and I'm going to figure it out. And they do. And you want to know what's amazing? Those are the guys that with imperfect, processes, with imperfect, skill sets, will go and find a way to make it happen. And I don't need to spend 30 minutes with you to figure out whether or not you're fantasizing about a successful business or you're planning on a successful business. And hopefully what you're hearing is anyone can do it. It's the doing that is required. And it's better to start and any health and wellness coach, by the way, will tell you, right? The best time to start's now, and you don't necessarily need a coach to go out and be successful. There's nothing that Brian or Skofi or anybody else could teach you that you couldn't potentially go learn on your own or with a million free resources at your disposal. There are absolutely advantages to working with someone who's been there, done that, and who will hold you accountable and kick you in the nuts when you do the things you're not supposed to and don't do the things you committed to. That's the value of a coach. It's not because you or I or anybody else has some secret license on success. Millions of people have been successful, and we are wanting to see you be successful. But at the end of it, it's simple, but requires effort.
That's it. And that's it. What a coach can do for you. Here's what I will say. I actually, in my career for a lot of my life, I haven't been I was never obsessed with getting a mentor, and maybe I should have been, but a lot of times people kind of fixated on having a guru who they sort of just emulated. But that's really just a lack of self-confidence in many cases. Somebody just doesn't actually believe that they can achieve success, so they have to duplicate or replicate somebody else's version of success. But here's what a coach can do for you. First of all, Peyton Manning had a quarterback coach in his final year as a quarterback. Tom Brady had an offensive coach, a quarterback coach. Tom Brady worked out with a trainer.
Yeah.
He's arguably the best quarterback to ever live.
Right.
And he had a coach who wasn't as good of a quarterback as he was.
Right.
And yet Tom Brady did whatever he said.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? There is no point of success where you outgrow the advantages of having a benevolent third party who's invested in your success. What a coach will do for you is the thing that's missing is you can read as many Alex Hormozi books as you want, man. And I love that for you. But you know what reading another Alex Hormozi book isn't going to do for you? Get your ass off the couch and make you do some work.
That's right.
When I help a lot of people. I remember I was talking to a friend who was in a 12-step program, and we were talking about how do you determine if your behavior is compulsive? And I said, it's very easy. You set a super clear objective line and you see if you cross it.
That's right.
And if you cross it once, okay, you call it a mulligan and you journal about why you crossed it. If you cross it twice, you got to look in the mirror and say, I said I wouldn't do it and I did it. More than once. This is officially compulsive. Okay, let's invert that. How do you know if you're compulsively avoiding something? Well, you tell yourself when you're going to do it, how you're going to do it. You get all the resources, you dedicate the time to it. And then if you don't do it, then you give yourself one mulligan. Okay, you know what? I was in a bad mood. I was whiny, whatever. American Idol was on. All right, now I'm going to do it. The second time, if you avoid it again, you have to look in the mirror and say, I am compulsively avoiding sales and marketing.
All right.
This is my problem. I'm not too busy. I am compulsively avoiding it, and I'm creating busyness as an external justification for my internal fear, which is driving a compulsive avoidance. A coach is the person who's going to hold your hand and gently pull you to that behavior and watch you do it.
That's right.
So the question is, do I need a coach or a mentor? It's not like, could you figure it out on your own? Guys, that's not the right question.
That's right.
The right question is, am I doing it or not? And if I'm not doing it, is there a reason I'm not doing it? And if I can't overcome my compulsive avoidance on my own, I need a benevolent third party to help me do it.
I agree with that very, very much. I agree with that very, very much. And this is where being incredibly honest with yourself is key. Okay. It's like, if you run those litmus tests to triage whether or not you're avoiding, and let's just be real for 1 second. Most of you watching this know in your core if you're avoiding it or not. And if you ask yourself, in the last 18 months, have you thrown money at something to go get you new customers that required little to no involvement on your part? And how did you feel when you signed up for it? How did you feel when you canceled? Okay. And what was your decision after that experience? What did you do next? All right. And if you've got a pattern of behavior where you're throwing mashed potatoes against the wall, abdicating your own responsibility to take ownership of your IT business growth, if that's a pattern of behavior, just be honest with yourself about it, because it starts here. It starts and it's like, you have to be real. Am I okay with this just being a fantasy forever? Am I okay with never being satisfied, and okay with just thinking about one day maybe having a successful IT business? Or is it something that I'm actually going to take ownership to go achieve for myself, because no one's going to come save you? Now, once you have that moment of realization and you're like, and let me just also say this, it's okay if your answer is fantasy, if so long as you're honest with yourself and you stop deceiving yourself and you accept the fact that you're running a hobby business now, a lifestyle business that will never probably be much more than what it is today. And if you can be satisfied there, that's fine. That's okay. That's a legitimate life choice you can make. But for the rest of you who are like, I want to grow this to 15, 30 million and exit, which is a number of you, okay? That requires a different set of mind. This requires a different mindset. No longer are you okay with things just being in fantasy land. You have to make the decision that, no, this is an achievable goal. Like you said, Brian, I'm drawing a line in the sand and seeing how close I can get to it, and not being okay with being anything short of crossing that line and becoming successful. So once that mindset is in place, then you look at yourself. Well, here's the gaps in my own self and my own organization that are holding me back from achieving that line, right? And I know these weaknesses about myself, or I know these things that I tend to avoid about myself. And this was like, oh, what would be incredibly powerful if there was somebody who's done it, somebody who's in it every day, who can see the things that I'm already starting to acknowledge, point them out, see the bruise, lovingly press on that bruise and say, hey, this thing you said that was important to you, why aren't you acting on it? And that's what a coach will do. They'll gently push on that bruise and say, hey, accountability time, man, sanity check. If you are okay with living in fantasy land, we need to have a very different conversation. But you told me you want to go here. You're not doing the things that get you there. Let me help you.
Right. That's it. That's it, man. I mean, I feel like that's kind of all there is to say. But we say this over and over again because people need it. I mean, I need it. Everybody needs it. Like both of us are similarly flawed. Both of us have things that we compulsively avoid and compulsively do. But what I would love to do is I want to pivot a little bit into some tactics, because you're cutting your teeth talking to people. Now, the method you're using to grow findmyitpartner.com is not an identical blueprint in every way. But I want to talk about outbound.
Let's do it.
So MSPs listening to this and they go, okay, you got me. All right, I'm going to do it. I'm going to sit down for 90 minutes a day and grow my business. What do they do?
So I'll answer that by first sharing some findings that I discovered last week. It was not anything earth-shattering for me, but to see the data staring me back in the face was interesting. I ran a poll where over 100 IT providers answered the question, in your experience, where do the majority of managed IT customers come from? Okay. And because it's LinkedIn, you had 4 options that I could put. So I put the first one is like SEO, like content, that's where my customers come from. The other one was paid advertising. The third one was word of mouth or referrals. And the fourth was cold outreach. So phone, email, social, et cetera, et cetera. And out of 133 responses, a whopping 77% said word of mouth and referrals. Now, I know, Brian, you and I have talked about this before. That's not a surprising statistic for you and I to hear, because we hear it all the time, daily, multiple times a week. I ask this question, where did your last customer come from? Where'd they come from? It's like, a COI introduced them to me, or, a customer referred them to me, or whatever. Friend of a friend. Well, why is that? I think before any outbound initiative is going to be effective, we need to understand why all of your customers come to you from word of mouth. Because if what you're going to do is market like you're Domino's and send 10,000 emails next month, I don't think you're going to see the results you want. You're not Domino's. There's a reason that all of your customers have come to you from word of mouth. And I think there's a lot of nuance to it, but if I were to put a big brushstroke across it that I think is the primary reason, it's trust. It's trust.
Okay.
What I mean by that is a referral is absolutely a demonstration of trust. That your name would never have come up if that person didn't like you, trust you, know you, right? And that's where the mutual introduction happens. So how do you facsimilate or conjure trust in a cold outreach campaign? Tough to do, especially when you're talking about something as uncomfortable and potentially disruptive as IT or cybersecurity when you're talking to a prospect. So my suggestion is what I said earlier: filter any initiative through the screen of, will it facilitate authentic, physical, human connection? So the specific tactics, you should use all the tactics at your disposal. You should use the phone. You should use the email. You should use LinkedIn. You should use any channel that your prospect is, there thou shalt also be. That should include going to the professional associations they're members of, to the events, the chambers of commerce, the country club that they go to. Wherever your prospect is, there thou shalt also be. It's not any one of those tactics. It's the sum total of all of them earn you a micron of mental real estate here, a micron of mental real estate there. So when your SDR makes a cold call, you can ask a question like, who handles your IT? Like everybody does. You can ask that. I'm not saying don't necessarily ask that, but the way you frame the call on the front end is everything. Hey, so this is Skofi with Johnathan's IT. I'm literally 3 blocks away from your office. We're in the same community and we love to support local businesses. And I just wanted to introduce myself. We're hosting a little, networking community event thing next Thursday at the local brewery, and would love to see you there. This is just to bring your wife, bring your kids, whatever. I just pulled that out of my butt just now, Brian. But the idea behind it is I don't sound like I'm selling you IT now. I'm selling myself as a potential human that could create value and add value to your world, and that you might have a reason to have a connection with me. And now a seed has been planted. Now, if you want it to be a little more pointed, you want to maybe go straight for the jugular a little bit more, you still have to do it from the vantage point of authentic, physical, human connection. Hey, Brian, I understand that you're an engineering company. We've worked with a lot of folks like you, and I know dealing with AutoCAD is a pain in the ass. We've identified a lot of the reasons why is because of how it's hosted. There's a lot of different ways we could help you, but we wrote a standard operating procedure for using cloud services and AI to reduce the amount of time your engineers are using AutoCAD. Wrestling with AutoCAD. If I sent you that 2-page document, would that be worth your time? And as you're leading with value, you're building a connection from a vantage point that your ideal customer will understand. It's like, hey, we do IT good. If that's your pitch, A lot of people do IT good. It's not special anymore. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Right.
So it's less the tactic and it's more how the tactic, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. I want to break down several things you just said. I love the visual of that you are building, I forget the word you use, a microcosm. You're building small little, you're gaining footing in mental real estate by being sort of omni-channel, if we can say it that way.
Yep.
By being a little bit present here, a little bit visible there. There's a reason mattress companies still pay a kid to spin a sign on the sidewalk.
That's right.
Because when the morning you wake up and you go, man, this mattress is a piece of crap, you're going to be like, what do you even go to do that? The average mattress sale is probably what, once every 7 years? I'm guessing 10 years.
Oh yeah. I mean, not often.
Right? Not often. It's probably slower than a managed service turnaround, and it's a much slower margin. And they're paying a kid $17 an hour in LA to spin a freaking sign on the street when it could just be a mannequin doing it, but they're paying a kid to do it because now you're going to remember where the mattress store is.
That's right.
And that's where you're going to go.
That's right.
So that's marketing, if you will. That's the consistency of marketing, a long tail on it.
Mm-hmm.
But what's my point is that what you're saying is outbound, you have to synthesize, you have to manufacture, you have to create and earn trust in slow, intentional beats.
That's right.
And you do that by being around, being visible, being consistent. If you just want to call somebody and say, hey, it's the IT company, I want to be your IT company, the one you have, they probably suck, right? Are they slow to respond? Well, we have the best customer service and we respond faster than they do. Can I have your business? Oh, you're under contract for another 4 years? Well, thanks for wasting my time. That's sort of the mindset that people go into cold calling with.
Unfortunately.
So, yeah, okay, you did the tactic, but you have to do the right things, you have to do them well, and you have to do them over and over again. And oftentimes, what I was going to ask you is, do you feel like there's a portion of why 77% of people are saying they get clients from word of mouth? And that's about, I usually say it's about 80 is about what I see.
Same.
Is a big part of that because over half of MSPs don't do any outbound or marketing? Or do you think most of them are or have tried it and it just wasn't successful?
Well, most of them aren't doing it. Most of them are not, that have not invested the time and effort over a consistent period of time to see any of it be meaningful. It's like doing 3 push-ups and then stopping. It's like, well, I'm not losing any weight. I'm not gaining any muscle. I've done some push-ups. Push-ups don't work. You said something similar earlier. But just, I want to play devil's advocate for the MSP for a real hot second before we wrap up. I know, Mr. IT provider, Miss IT provider, that you are incredibly consumed with delivering outcomes to your customer, and you're very likely wearing more hats than you should. And I know that's not unique to our industry, but in our industry, it is absolutely a prevailing problem where the founder is responsible for far too much stuff and the leadership is responsible for far too much stuff. So you are busy. You are. Let's just take a second to acknowledge that. However, the universe doesn't care how busy you are when it comes to whether or not you're owed success. So in order for you to see the change you have to make, it's going to require carving out your schedule and dedicating sacred business development time to that being successful. So the answer to your question, Brian, is people aren't doing it. They're not. Or if they are, they're doing it for short sprints and not seeing the results they want, so they give up or they get distracted by this or that. The consistent, disciplined effort faithfully over time is where you'll see the change.
And so I wonder if there's, like, I'm saying this to be hopefully a beam of encouragement, that there's a correlation causation fallacy potentially in the whole that people might see the result of that study and say 77% of leads come from word of mouth. Why am I even trying? No, 77% come from word of mouth because you aren't trying.
That's
so
right.
The only entries going into the data set are the word of mouth ones, the ones that the sales that happen to you. because you're not going out and creating on your own. Now, if you are going out and attempting, let's say you're investing $5,000-$6,000. There's a lot of MSPs right now who are investing $5,000-$6,000 a month. They've been doing it for 3 to 9 months. They're getting handfuls of tepid hand raises from random companies. They're getting some leads, but it's just not really working successfully. That's a really tough spot to be in, unfortunately. What I found anecdotally is about 80% of people who make investments into marketing agencies or lead gen agencies do not get an ROI.
That's right. That's been my experience.
It doesn't mean, right. It doesn't mean that lead gen doesn't work. It's the same reason, like when people join my program, I need to just tattoo this on my forehead because I say it so often. Like, there is one reason why people join Feel Good MSP and they don't get results. One reason alone, because they show up and they don't do anything. It happens all the time. I am not a lead gen agency.
That's right.
I'm a sales execution platform. You have to execute the stuff. So we can train you, encourage you, give you strategy, give you resources. I can put words in your mouth. You have to go say them to another person over and over again.
That's right.
And that's where it always comes down. So consistency, I think, is consistency with the enough humility to iterate and develop over time is actually the only two real ingredients you need.
That's exactly right.
Right?
Totally agree.
Thoughts?
No, I mean, just go back to where that referral came from and why it came from. The last referral you got, when the inciting moment happened, somebody thought of you. They thought of you because you already occupy that referral partner's mental real estate. Whether they're a customer or a family member or a peer or a colleague or whatever, you already occupy that person's mental real estate. But you did not occupy the end customer's mental real estate. They were already in that end customer's real estate. A connection was brokered for you. Okay. So to your point, Brian, like, the only reason you're only getting referrals is because that's the only way mental real estate is being accrued. And it's not because you're accruing it. It's being accrued on your behalf. So you have to get off your butt and go and begin to accrue that mental real estate proactively. And it's going to require proaction for it to happen. If you wait passively, don't be surprised if your next customer either never comes, or if it does come, you can almost bank on it being another referral. And let's not, the referrals are great. Enjoy them while you get them. But that's not enough to get you from fantasy to achieving a goal.
Yeah. Man does not live on gravy alone, and referrals are gravy. They're not protein for your business. They're delicious gravy to sprinkle on the top. Johnathan, I've kept you almost an hour. I want to give you a shot if there's any other tactical things, just so we're above reproach on the question of, did this podcast help? Is there any other stuff that you feel like we need to cover that we haven't, or do you feel like we've given them enough?
I mean, there's always more that can be discussed here. There's never a topic that's exhausted until IT flies off the shelves like Red Bull at a gas station or something. It'll always be something that needs to be discussed. And IT does not fly off the shelf like that. You know it. I don't need to tell you that. Until it sells itself, it's going to require you to sell. Take ownership of it. If there's one thing that you took from this today, it's on you to grow your business. No one else is going to grow it for you. You got to take ownership of it. And if that requires investing, it will require investing the time and energy to be successful, but it may also require bringing strategic resources around you to help you use those resources wisely and that time and effort wisely. So you should definitely talk to Brian. You should absolutely talk to me. And of course, we're both self-served by telling you to do that. But whether you talk to us or any other coach in the industry, or the books you read or the things you watch, at the end of the day, none of it will matter if you don't take action and ownership yourself.
I love it, man. I love how there's a lot of interviews that I either haven't put out yet or have like by the time of this recording, that are echoing so much of this sentiment. And it's encouraging to me to hear that a lot of the experts who have had success, they pretty much all got there the same way. They figured out these core underlying truths, and they did something about it. So Speaking of, just in case anybody, we talked a little bit about it up at the top about Find My IT Partner, but do you want to just give us the quick lowdown on what that is?
Sure. So we are in pre-beta right now, and we're building a platform to facilitate referrals for the IT services space at scale. And the crudest, simplest way of me describing it is, imagine if LinkedIn and Tinder had a baby that was really good with computers. That's what we're trying to build. But the secret sauce that's baked through all of it, and the reason I think it's going to work, is because we're trying to facilitate trust, where trust is the currency by which we facilitate introductions. Once again, this is meant to be a supplement, not a replacement for doing your own work, a model perhaps for you to clone. So if you're interested, feel free to reach out, findmyitpartner.com. I'm on LinkedIn, look up Skofi. We're all over the place, and I would love to chat.
I love it, man. Good luck in the Pitch It contest. I don't know when this episode's coming out, but I hope you just absolutely crush it. Thanks again for doing this for me and for the channel. I appreciate you big time. And yeah, we'll catch you at the next thing.
Appreciate it, Brian.
See you at
Thanks for
ScaleCon.
having me.